Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, I'm going to ask the question, is the optimization era the worst era in the history of muscle building? Before I get into that topic, if you guys need coaching, check out the link down below. Coaching is what I do for a living. I would love to help. All right, so is the optimization era, the era we're currently in, the science-based over-optimization era, the worst era in the history of muscle building? And by worst, hey, you get to decide, you get to share your opinion. Is it the most confusing? Is it leading the most number of people down the wrong path? Those are kind of the criteria for being the worst era in muscle building. I remember 10 years ago, we thought we were living in the confusion era when it came to muscle building, but I don't believe personally it's anywhere near as bad as it is now. And I would like you guys, before I share my final opinion, I would like you guys to drop a comment down below. Just pause the video. Let me know what you think. Is the optimization / science-based era the worst and most confusing for the average lifter? The era that is causing the most slowing of gains, so to speak. Let me know what you think. All right, so here's my opinion. Is it the worst? Is it the worst era? There are a lot of bad things about the modern era. The biggest issue is that we are in an era of fear culture where there's so much confusion, and there are so many influencers out there that are just perpetuating fear, like this exercise is bad, or that split is bad, or don't do this, or don't do that, or this is the only way to lift. There's so much confusion out there that it's creating fear. It's creating this culture that the body is extremely fragile. Even ideas like naturals can't do hardly any volume, or naturals have to overly be concerned with excessive amounts of buildup of fatigue. You know, this whole body is fragile culture, this whole fear culture. There are a lot of bad things about the modern generation. And one of the most annoying things for me is that it doesn't teach you guys freedom. It doesn't look at the last 70 years of lifting and say, hey, what can we learn from it? What can we learn about the last 70 years of lifting? We can learn that programs really don't matter and exercise selection really doesn't matter as long as everything is reasonable. But heck, we just kind of gloss over that in the modern era and just lead people down into this path of fear, and where they just feel absolutely handcuffed and they have no idea what to do in the gym. But here is the big point. I do not believe the modern optimization era, the science-based fear culture era, is the worst in the history of muscle building. I believe the absolute worst was a period of time when both strong lifts and starting strength just absolutely invaded the internet. And all of a sudden, I remember everybody doing it. And a lot of times when you mention it, you'll hear like strong lifts isn't a muscle building program, or starting strength is a strength building program. That's fair as far as starting strength, and we'll get into strong lifts in a little bit. But that generation took a bunch of people that were doing muscle building programs, and all of a sudden they just entered this cult of barbell world. We just became completely enamored with this cult of barbell world. And all of a sudden, everybody's hyper focused on barbells, these minimalistic programs, these minimal programs with squats, bench, and deads. And you saw so many people that were training for muscle building hop over to these programs. Regardless of how the programs were framed, you had this whole invasion of the cult of barbell. And everybody just started doing these programs. I remember just everybody doing these programs. Even now when I talk about strong lifts being a muscle building program, I'll get a lot of pushback, and I'll probably get pushback in the comments Strong Lifts isn't a muscle building program. That's complete bullshit. I remember back in the day, one of the pillars that he propped his program up on was that it was the best muscle building program. In fact, this article was the cornerstone of his website for a very, very long time. I believe recently he just took it down, but I used to share the link to this because people came up with selective amnesia, pretending like this guy wasn't pushing this minimal strong lifts, only a few lifts per week, as the be-all, end-all for hypertrophy or muscle building. This was exactly the problem with that era. However you want to frame it, it took the muscle building culture and it placed it in this world of minimalism, of the cult of barbell, and all of a sudden everybody was doing these programs that weren't really classic muscle building, and they were seeing, quite frankly, the shittiest results of any era, and I stand firm with that opinion. There's nothing wrong with squats, there's nothing wrong with deadlifts, but what these guys missed and what that era wasn't taught is that it takes a lot of time to master the squat, and most people don't get the squat down for a very, very long period of time, if at all. The same with the deadlift. These big posterior lifts are very, very hard to master, and from what I have seen in coaching, a huge percentage of people that invest a lot of time in them simply aren't getting much out of these lifts because their form isn't up to speed. And that sounds hypercritical, but it is absolutely the truth. So in my opinion, this whole strong lift, starting strength, cult of barbell era was the worst era in the history of muscle building. We took kind of a good thing, what Reg Park was doing, and we twisted it into this cult of barbell minimalism. Let's forget machines, let's forget dumbbells, and let's forget building quality muscle mass. Let's forget everything we learned in the last 20 years that could possibly add to this steaming era of shit. So thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.